All right, good day and welcome. Today we'll be talking about quadratic equation. I will be in fact teaching you how to solve quadratic equation in less than 5 seconds. Interesting, right? Yeah, but before we begin solving these quadratic equations in less than 5 seconds, I want us to take note of the following. Now let's look at this. First of all, every quadratic equation has a general formula ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. Now, what does this simply mean? It means that the highest power of any quadratic equation must be 2. That is the highest power of any quadratic equation. And also, every quadratic equation must give you 2 solutions. X is equal to perhaps, let's say alpha, and then x equal to what? Beta. 2 solutions. Now, another thing you need to note is that the coefficient of the squared variable is a, and the coefficient of the unsquared variable is b, and the constant is c. That is just a standard notation. Now, let's now dive down into what else you need to know. You need to know the types of quadratic equations. Like I've carefully placed quadratic equations into 2 types. Those that have a as equal to 1, that is the coefficient of the squared variable as 1. Now look at this from this example. You can see clearly that it seems like there is nothing here multiplying x squared, but in mathematics we believe that the number here, when we can't see anything here, is 1. So this is just like 1x squared. So that means that a is equal to 1. So whenever you see any quadratic equation such that the squared variable has nothing as its coefficient, then you know it is the type 1 quadratic equation. On the other hand, the type 2 quadratic equation has a not equal to 1. That means it can be negative number, it can be positive number, it can be decimals, it can be any value, but it is not 1. Like for example, like you can see here, what we have, x is what? The equation of x squared is what? 2. That simply means that this is the type 2 quadratic equation. Now, having understood what the type 1 and type 2 quadratic equation, I will not waste your time again. Let's go straight to solving the quadratic equation in 5 seconds. All right. Now, let's look at this question. This question is a basic quadratic equation which says solve the quadratic equation x squared plus 5x plus 6 equal to 0. Now, if you have taken note, you will notice that I have given you some steps that you will need to solve this quadratic equation in 5 seconds. Now, when you look at these steps, you will realize that it is actually as an explicit for you to be able to solve. But if you can't really get it from this step, don't worry. Just anchor with me. I will hold your hand through the end. Now, let's look at this. What I want you to know is that the major formula you need to know here is that in bracket, I have x, the formula for x plus alpha, and in bracket, open bracket, close, I have x plus beta, where, like I said earlier, alpha and beta are the solutions or roots to this quadratic equation. Now, what we really just need to obtain is the value of alpha and beta, and we are done. Now, how do we get alpha and beta? Look at the equation that you were given. Alpha and beta is the factor of this value here for type 1 quadratic equation. Now, so now you ask yourself, what are the factors of 6? Remember, you have to place it in twin factors, that is 2, 2. So to make it easy, we start from 1. 1 is the factor of every number. So 1 and 6, why are we placing it in 2? Look at it. It must multiply to give us this value 6. So 1 multiplied by 6 is giving us 6 also. So let's go to the next 2. 2 multiplied by 3 will definitely give us what? 6. You can see this is why I call them twin factors. Now, but the next thing we need to know, we need to find that particular twin factor that when we add together will give us 5. Now, let's look at this carefully. If this is positive number plus 5, that simply means that the largest factor must be a positive number. For example, let's take this in consideration, 1 and 6. That simply means that we have to have positive 6. Then from here, we have to ask ourselves, how do we obtain 5 from positive 6? That should be minus 1. So when we minus 1 from 5, we have what? From 6, we have positive 5. That's correct. But on the other hand, when you multiply 6, positive 6 and negative 1 together, you obtain negative 6, which is making this factor not okay. Now let's go to the next factor and see if that will give us the correct answer. Remember I said, for this sign here, the sign of the bigger number should be positive. So positive 3. And then how do we get 5 from positive 3? Is just by adding 2, so positive 2. Now, positive 2, positive 5, and positive 3 will give us positive 5. And positive 3 multiplied by positive 2 will definitely give us positive 6. So this is the correct factor. Now, this is how we use it down here. So as simple as that, that simply means that we are done. So x plus 3, and then x plus 2 equal to 0. The final thing we need to do here is to place it x is equal to, remember this plus 3 goes down here to give us minus 3. And then x is equal to what? Minus 2. Now, please take notes. I said in 5 seconds, but I believe we have way past 5 seconds. But not to worry. Look at what is the problem here. Is just obtaining these factors. Now, if you can look at this number and obtain these factors as quickly as you can, then you can actually get the answer of this without even going through any other step. Now, let me explain this. Now, the factors of C that we have seen or we have adjudged to be the correct factor is positive 2 and positive 3. Then that simply means that my answer or the solution to this equation is simply changing the signs. That means x is equal to minus 2 or x equal to minus 3. Very fast. Interesting, right? That's good. Now, having said that, let's go to the most interesting one, which is equation type 2. Now, let's look at the type 2 equation when this value here is not 1. Now, what do? We use the general formula as I have stated clearly. You can see it here, stated it clearly here. We use the general formula 1 over a. Remember that a is the coefficient of the x square variable. Now, in this case, I have ax, all right, plus 1 of the root alpha. Okay, we have the next one, ax, okay, ax plus 1 of the root again, and beta. Please note this is a, not alpha. All right, so at this point, this is just what we need to use to solve it. The formula equal to 0. Just as we did on the first one, we need to obtain the factors of a given number. But in this case, it's not just 6. For type 2 quadratic equation, you must multiply this value with this value. That is the value of a. Like I clearly said here, a multiplied by c. So a times c here will give me 12. So I'm looking for the factors of 12, solving it in the same way we did before. Okay, starting with 1, definitely 12. Now, the next factor will be, let's use 2. 2, definitely 6 to make it up to 12. That's good. The next one, then 3 can go into 12. So let's use 3, definitely 4. And I think this is all for the twin factors. Now, we are asking ourselves which particular factor among these two factors will be able to give us the value here. Remember that this value here is what is minus 1, because this is minus x, which is also minus 1. So how can we obtain minus 1 from these factors here? Obviously, 12 minus 1 can never give me minus 1. 12 and 1. 2 and 6 can never give me 1. Not possible. 3 and 4, good, can give me 1. But let's try to note. Let's try to confirm the sign. Remember I said the sign of this, the middle sign here, that is the sign of that x variable, is always the sign of the larger factor. So in this case, so 4, we take the minus. Then how do we get this minus 1 from 4? Is by adding 3. That is how and why we have minus 4 plus 3. Now let's put the values here. Remember, a is 2, still 2. So let's say 1 over 2. Okay, open bracket, I have 2x. Okay, minus 4 for the first one. Then I have 2x plus 3. Now, you notice clearly that 2 can actually go into this and this, but cannot go into this. So we actually just divide this. 2 into this will give me 1. 2 into this will definitely give me 2. So finally, I will be having something like this, x minus 2. And again, I have 2x plus 3 equal to 0. Now, if you solve finally, you have that your x is equal to 2 and your x is equal to minus 3 over 2. Now, coming back to what I said earlier, you can note that what we have here as this is the factors. So when you obtain these factors, do you really need to solve all this process to see if you can get it? No. Now, from the factors, you can actually get your answer. Like I said earlier, you don't really need to solve all this long process. So what I have here is minus 4 and plus 3. So if for this, if it's a type 2 quadratic equation, and your answer is this, what you need to do is to get the solution of this equation is x equal to, what did you get here? Minus 4 divided by 2, you get minus 2. Okay. Okay, minus 4. You change the sign also, so it definitely to be plus 2. You plus and then divide by 2. And then this is plus 3, so you change the sign also. That would be what? Minus 3 divided by 2. Remember, I divide both of them by 2. That is how we obtain this in just 5 seconds. Please, if you love this video, don't forget to subscribe and give us thumbs up for more interesting and easy ways of solving problems. Remember, what we try to do here is to prepare you quickly for any given exam. Is that clear? And I believe that you enjoyed this video, so please don't forget to subscribe. And I promise that I will not fail you. I will be giving you so many questions, cheats to so many problems. Thank you very much and remain blessed.